Good morning. I want to talk to you this morning about Revelation 16:1 and 21. Now this refers to the six bowls of justice, better known as the wrath of God, poured out on the earth and on the Antichrist, Satan, and all of the unbelievers. By this time, I do believe that the rapture has already occurred, because God plainly said He has not appointed us unto His wrath. These six bowls of judgment is God's wrath poured out on this earth in these last days. So as we get started, we're going to be in verse 1 in Revelation 16. John describes a loud voice from the temple. This means that the action that is about to take place are being driven and controlled by God directly, in the same way the judgments that are about to fall are falling upon those who have directly scorned God. For these people following the beast is a conscious attack against God. The first bowl, 16:2. The first bowl is a physical attack against all of the people who worship the beast. This wrath is not just anger, it is actual punishment in the form of pain, ugly, painful sores. This attack will render those who worship the beast useless. Then once those who are opposed to God are out of commission and the beast is unable to help them, they are available to watch the judgment of God fall upon the earth. The second bowl, 16:3, not only do the people get sores, but the water is turned to blood, and much of it had been in the famous plagues of Egypt, Exodus 7:17 and 21. Earlier in Revelation, during the second trumpet, 8:8-9, the water was turned to blood. But this is a little different. In this case, all the water of the world is turned to blood, which means that life can no longer be sustained. Also, this is the blood of dead men, meaning the blood has already coagulated. It is thick and stale and useless. As a result, all of the creatures of the sea die. Not only has the water supply ended, but also a major source of food. God has rendered the people useless, and in agonizing pain, now the water supply is corrupted, and so to all of the life that depended upon it. Any hope of survival is diminishing. The third bowl, 16:4-7. When the third bowl is poured out by the angel, the rest of the water supply is affected. The rivers, the streams. There is nothing to drink when this happens, and angels offer up a word of praise, but it is praise for the retribution as this angel expresses it. God's retribution has been justly poured out on those who shed the blood of God's followers and even opposed God himself. The angels of the water mentioned in verse 5, the ones who spoke the praise, is not mentioned anywhere else in the Bible. We can't know details of his identity other than this designation. Notice in verse 7 that it is the altar that speaks. Earlier in Revelation, a voice came from the horns of the altar. 9:13. But in this case, it's the actual altar offers praise. The fifth bowl, 16, 10, and 11. The fifth angel turns his attention upon the beast. In fact, he pours his bowl on the beast's throne, and darkness takes control. John doesn't give a specific exclamation for what caused the people's pain. Their sores are still present, according to verse 11. Also, there could be many who were burned from the scorching sun, but were not killed by it. While all the details are not known, it is obvious that people are miserable in pain, yet they still curse God rather than acknowledge him as the one who could ease their suffering and the one who has the power to control the plague. The sixth bowl, 16 and 12. The sixth plague removes the water from the Euphrates. This might not seem like such a bad thing, given the fact that the river is filled with blood. But it is important because the next judgment is the great war of Armageddon. That will destroy the armies of the beast once and for all. Drying up the riverbed removes an important obstacle for the attacking armies. John mentioned that the kings from the east are the threat that will come across the dry riverbed left behind in the path of the Euphrates. But this is the only time these kings are mentioned. The Euphrates River did serve as the boundary of the Roman Empire. John mentioned that the kings from the east are the threat that will come across the dry riverbed left behind in the path of the Euphrates. But this is the only time these kings are mentioned. Did serve as a boundary of the Roman Empire. So in the mind of John's readers, assaulting enemies could easily lay beyond the river, and without the river to block them, the empire was much more open to attack. Still, as for these kings from the east, no more explanation is given than is mentioned in verse 12. Now, chapter 16, verse 13 through 16, preparation for war. As with the previous set of 7 events in Revelation, there is a pause between the 6th bowl and the 7th bowl. This is a pause between the 6th and 7th seal and the sixth and seventh trumpet. As well, in this case, the pause allows the armies of the world to gather in one place. Out of the mouth of the dragon, beast, and the second beast come demons that go to all of the kings of the world. 16:13 through 14. These demons are spirits that perform remarkable miracles to entice the enemies of God together. Why would these armies need to be enticed to wage war against God? Because they are infested with sores, their water supply has dried up, the sun is scorching people to death, and the only way these people are going to move is by some form of deception. The deception is that the beast is stronger than the one doing this to them. If they unite, they will be victorious. What a funny way to the beast to tell people, but they fall for it. Announcement is made that the coming of the day of the Lord is like a thief in the night. Chapter 16, verse 15. The reality is that no one will know the day when the fury will strike. Therefore, those who are ready and know that this day will come are the ones who walk through life prepared. Those who do not account for this day are the ones who walk around the world vulnerable and naked, which means that at the very least they will be ashamed when they are caught unprepared. The announcement is that the final act of judgment upon these people, the frog-like spirits, are successful according to verse 16, and the armies of the beast gather in one place, Armageddon. The name probably stands for Ha-Mageddon, which means the mountain of Megiddo. There is no known mountain with this name, so some have considered it to be merely an element of John's vision, a symbol of God's judgment. Others, however, identify it as the plains that lie beside the ancient city of Megiddo. Chapter 16, verse 17 through 21. The seventh bowl. Then the seventh angel poured out his bowl unto the air, and a loud voice came out of the temple of heaven from the throne, saying, It is done. And there were noises and thunderings and lightnings, and there was a great earthquake, such a mighty and great earthquake as had not occurred since men were on the earth. Now the great city was divided into three parts, and the city of the nations fell, and the great Babylon was remembered before God, to give her the cup of wine of the fierceness of his wrath. Then every island fled away, and the mountains were not found, and great hail from heaven fell upon men, each hailstone about the weight of a talent. Men blaspheme God because the plagues of hail, since that plague was exceedingly great. Now, this brings to the conclusion that I have with the 6 bowls. Now, I know that in in chapter 17, 18, 19, now this talks about that city of Babylon. And then it goes on into 20, 21, and 22, which is the conclusion of all of this trouble on earth and the new beginning of God is now taking place. So we may talk about that in another clip, but right now this will bring to the conclusion of the judgments, because we've been through the the 7 seal judgment, then we've been through the 7 signs, or the signs that appear in the heavens, and then we've been through the seal judgments, and then the trumpet judgments, and now we have been through the bowl judgment. So this will bring to the conclusion of the judgments of God. So until the next clip, God bless. Take care.